Hi guys, today you are joining me at the amazing Tamar Reservoir down near Bude in Cornwall and Devon. One bank's the Cornwall bank, one bank's the Devon bank. As you can see, the mist is rolling in from the sea. It's about 4 miles as the crow flies from the coast, but this was clear now, and as you can see now, I can hardly see the other bank. But I'm going to do some feeder fishing and hopefully catch some roach and some skimmers. Only a little chuck, 15, 20 metres. Now Tamar needs no introduction. It is home to the Feedermasters Final. Last year it was absolutely superb, with Lee Kerry coming out on top with just over £70 in the 2 days. It's absolutely full and stuffed full of roach and skimmers. So hopefully I'm going to show you a few tips today that might help you in your own fishing, because some of these big reservoirs all over the country, although they're dominantly and everyone goes to fish for carp and bream on them, they're absolutely stuffed with roach and skimmers. So I'm going to show a few of my little tips to hopefully put some more roach and skimmers in your net. So my ground bait mix is pretty simple. I've got some sweet skimmer So Natural and some ever faithful F1 Dark. So I'm going to do half a bag of sweet skimmer, which is about half a kilo, and then a kilo, which is half a bag of F1 Dark. That smells so nice. And then to really sweeten it up, got some lake water. Just going to add a decent helping of the Bait Booster Power Scope X. So, oh, it's just amazing. I could drink that. So, generous helping of that. So I'm going to make the ground bait really, really sweet, because them skimmers absolutely love the sweet ground bait. So a good mix round with that. Give the ground bait a quick mix before I put the water in. In with the water. Give it a whisk. Turn it down. That smells amazing. So I'm going to leave that 20 minutes now. Let it absorb a lot of the water. Give it a whisk again. Maybe add a little bit more water, and then I'm ready to go. So I'm going to keep it simple for this session. All I've got on there is some live red maggots, some chopped worms, some dead pinkies and some dead red maggots. And obviously there's my ground bait there. Right, so I'm set up and ready to go now, guys. I've got two lines. I've got one at 13 metres and I've got one at 28 metres on the sticks. Now I'm going to start off by putting 10 feederfuls, bait up feederfuls, this sort of size, at 28 metres with some chopped worms, some dead reds and ground bait, 10 of them. And then I'm going to come in short, only give it 3 chucks with this, and I'm going to start on that short line. See if I can catch some roach early and leave that long line as long as I can before I go on it. So hopefully when I leave it a while, there'll be some skimmers lined up for me. Let's get going so we can catch a few fish. Well guys, as you can clearly see, I mean the weather, the mist has come in from the sea. I've had to pack my main cameras away because it was drizzling and everything was getting wet and damp. I've struggled a little bit at the start, but I've fished that longer line at 28 metres. I've hardly had a bite on that, so I've come in short on the 13 metre line, and it's got stronger and stronger as the day has gone on. A bit misty, looks like the weather and the drizzle stopped for a little while, so I'll leave it running and see if we can catch a few for the camera. There's actually been loads of carp topping, which is incredible. All I've been doing is just fishing single and double red maggot with some chopped worms and ground bait, and it's been, as I said, it's been a little bit slow at times, but it's got better in the last hour, so just hoping I'll catch a few for the camera now. Seen 2 carp top there, straight on, one over there and one 20 yards to the left of it. Incredible. Believe us, it's amazing these carp don't get caught in the matches. There's loads of them in it. They go up to over 40 pound in it. When the matches aren't on, the banks are lined with carp anglers, but there's some big carp in it. I think this is a skimmer. That's how quick it can be at Tamar. Fish just lining up for you. Skimmers and roach, one a buck. Well guys, as you can see by the weather, the mist has rolled in off the sea now. It's made it a bit difficult today, so I haven't been able to go through my setups and my rigs properly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back tomorrow. Hopefully the weather will be a little bit better and I'll be able to talk you through my rigs and my setups. I'm just going to show you what I've caught today. I've fished for about 3.5 hours, so I'm just going to take my net out and hopefully you'll be able to see what I've caught. I'd say probably a good, I'd say probably a good 25-30 pound there. I'm not going to lift them out of the water, but I'm hoping you can see all that lot. So here we are guys, we're back on the bank, day 2, after yesterday's awful weather which hampered me filming. I walked up the Cornwall bank again today, the peg just before the pegging for the Feedermasters tomorrow. I'm going to target the skimmers more than the roach today, hopefully, so I'm going to add a few more things into my ground bait. Today I've added THATCHERS dark and I've also put some bloodworm, 2mm bloodworm FISHMEAL pellets in. So I'm going to try and get them skimmers grubbing around, and whereas yesterday I put some ground bait in long and then started short, today I'm going to start long and prime that short line, so after an hour or so I can come in and hopefully I have them skimmers lined up short, because if I can catch them short I can catch them quicker, put more fish in my net to build a bigger weight. Let's get fishing. So before I start, I'm just going to have a quick run through the rigs I'm using in my setup. So from that 30 metre line, I'm using an 11-foot Superior SL. They're so light and they're so soft, they're perfect for these skimmers. Now on that rig I've got a helicopter rig, and it's a simple rig. I've got 8 metres of 10-pound sinking feeder mono as a leader through to 012 absolute braid. The reel is a 520 extremity, and I'll be putting 014 AccuPower to a size 12 N30 on that, with either, I'll probably start on a cage and then I'll turn to window feed a little bit later on. But that's my setup for my 30 metre line. Now on my short line I'm using a 10-foot Superior SL with a 520 extremity, 012 braid. Now the difference between this and the other rig, the 11-foot, is I've only got a small length of 10-pound sinking feeder mono as a leader. Now the reason being that is because I'm casting a lot. If I was running mono through the rod casting, I mean we catch quick on this short line. The last thing I want to be doing is wearing that mono out. You know, you think normally when you're casting a feeder and you go feed, you might chuck 100 times a day. On this short line, you could catch roach. I've known people catch 350 roach and skimmers on this short line, and I don't want to be wearing out that leader. So I have it so that the braid runs through my rod at all times, not at any time when that leader go through the rings. So when I'm casting, putting pressure on the cast, I'm putting pressure on the braid, and it's not going to wear the braid out. Hence why I've only got a small length of leader. Also, the fact is, I'll be holding this rod when I'm fishing. I won't put it down. So I will feel everything through my hand. As a fish bites, I'll feel it. So only a small leader, don't put the rod down, hopefully catch really quick on this short line. Right, so to kickstart my swim, I'm going to give it 5 feederfuls on that 30 metre line, and then I'm going to come back in and feed that short line with 10 feederfuls on that short line. So that way, if I feed the long line first, then I'm going to come in, it will give that time to settle while I'm feeding the short line. So hopefully I'll get some early bites. So all I'm going to just do is put a handful of worms, a handful of pellets, some casters, some dead red maggots, and some pinkies. So all I'm going to do is just mix it up and make sure I feed that on that long line. Another thing that I'm going to say is I'm using a taped up feeder to feed that line, as you can see, because I don't want nothing coming off as it goes through the water. So I'm just going to, don't push it in too hard, otherwise it won't come out if it's taped up. So just going to feed that 5 times on that long line. And then I'm going to feed that short line. Well, I've been fishing for about 2 hours now. I started on that long line. I caught 3 or 4 skimmers there, and I've persevered with it for as long as I could before I come to this short line. And I've come onto the short line. It's been solid, to be fair, absolutely solid. What I've done is I've changed that feeder I'm fishing in close in. I've put a taped up feeder on now, because I don't want nothing coming off the feeder. I'm trying to get the fish to the bottom. Now if I fish a standard cage feeder, the holes are open to the water, and as it goes through the water, it creates a column, which in turn makes the roach go mental, because they're attacking the feeder on the way down. But if you use a taped up feeder, very similar to that of a window feeder, nothing's coming off as it goes through the water, so most of your bait doesn't come out until you get to the bottom. Now I've just moved my cameras around, guys, and it's probably going to spook them a little bit because the water is quite clear, but I have been catching some skimmers. So hopefully this will carry on, we'll catch a few for the camera. Oh, there we go, and that's a skimmer. Only a small one, I think. I'm using the cage feeder taped up, putting worms on. Double and single red maggot seems to be best. I have caught a few on worm, but single maggot seems to work better. I don't know whether they're just going to a little bit of a frenzy and it's even to pick it up. I do apologise, some shouting going on down there, some guys on some canoes. I'm getting line, indications of line straight away, and they were in again. Oh, that's come off. Oh, I thought so. That's the first fish I've lost today. That's the curse of the camera. Yeah. I do apologise for any language you might pick up on my cameras. I can hear the guy swearing over there, so. His mummy obviously never brunged him up properly. Now I don't know if losing that fish is going to affect it, but oh, there we go. No, missed a bite. Crazy fishing. Shows you on top of my bait. I've just brought that in, and there's a piece of worm on my hook. So my bait must be right on top of the stuff that's coming out of my feeder. I think what it's done, because I've got up and moved my camera, it's made them a little bit scatty. They're not. There we go. Another skimmer. They're only small skimmers, they're not big. I've had a couple of pound, but most of them have been sort of between 6 and 12 ounces. Real weight builders, but such great fun. This sort of size. As you can see, the bait is still, don't know if you can see that, the bait is still inside that caped up feeder. So although I'm chucking it out, there's only a little bit of bait coming out. Without the bait coming out and all the freebies coming out my feeder, I think it helps them home in on my hook bait, because mine's the actual only bit of bait that's actually falling through the water. And we're in again. Look at that, straight away, virtually on the drop. Another skimmer. This is why we all come to Tamar. The fishing is just phenomenal. Especially pleasure fishing. I mean, when you're pleasure fishing, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, the matches. My feeder festival last year, over the 5 days, I think the average weight was about £29. Absolutely crazy off every peck. Some areas were better than others, obviously, but to excuse the screaming brat behind me. Mind you, if my mum would have made me walk the 5 kilometre round trip that it is round this lake, I'd probably have been screaming as well. Sorry, Mum. Nice and slowly does it, no rush. Oh, lovely skimmer, probably 10-12 ounces. Just every sort of 12 cast, instead of filling it with ground bait and chopped worm, I just fill it with micro pellets, just to put a little bit of food on the deck. Get them grubbing for them pellets. Oh, getting so many liners. Just got to wait for that proper bite. You'll know it's a proper bite. Like that. Oh, it's come off. Oh, what are you doing, Westy? Then you'll feel it. That's a skimmer. Yeah, it's a skimmer. Roach, this one. I'm wrong, let's have a look. That's a roach. Well, one absolutely fantastic 2 days I've had here at Tamar Lakes. I've started again on a long line today at 30 metres, and expecting to catch a few skimmers there. I caught a few, but it wasn't brilliant. Everything's been close in, like 15-16 metre line. Been absolutely superb. I started on a normal conventional cage and ended up using a taped up cage feeder to stop the ground bait coming out the feeder that went through the water. If the ground bait came out the feeder, it attracted the roach. But by using a taped up feeder, it actually compacted the bait in, so the only time the bait came out the feeder is when it was on the bottom. So when I had a bite, I lifted into the fish and the ground bait came out of the feeder when the fish took the bait. So I was putting nothing through the water, it was all coming out on the bottom, which was congregating the fish on the bottom. And that's what's made me catch so many fish today. I've had an absolutely fantastic day. So I'm going to get my net out now and show you what I've caught. But I would say it's in excess of between 50 and 60 pounds. Been absolutely fantastic. Right, I'm just going to grab my net, guys, show you what I've caught. I'm not going to lift the fish out of the water, I'm just going to lift the net up so you can see what's in there. There's an awful lot of fish. As you can see, great big net, skimmers, mainly skimmers. There's a few roach in there, but as an estimate, 60–70 pound I'd say. Let's put them back. Tamar Reservoir, what a place. Take care, and I'll see you on the bank sometime. Bye for now.